Have you ever realized that you know exactly what you need to do, but you don't do it? Maybe you have a library of unfinished courses, a list of saved YouTube videos you'll never watch, 27 open read later tabs in your browser. You're not stupid or undisciplined, but you're probably wasting knowledge. There is a Japanese proverb called butani shinji, literally pearls before swine. The image is brutal on purpose. You're taking something precious and throwing it into the mud. In your life, you are both characters. You are the one offering the pearls, and you yourself are the one wasting those pearls. The samurai understood this. In the Bushido code, there is a principle called makoto, absolute sincerity in their actions, and they knew a truth that destroys all excuses. Knowledge without action is not wisdom. It's procrastination disguised as preparation. But there is a way out. You need to stop collecting information and start executing what you already know. Before I show you exactly how to break free from this vicious cycle, subscribe to the channel, leave a like below, and comment. What knowledge do you have today that, if applied, would completely change your life? I want to know. Let's go. Chapter 1. The Collector of Promises. Franklin was 25 years old and had an impressive resume of things he had almost done. He almost wrote a book. He almost launched a business. He almost got in shape. The word almost defined his entire existence. His room told the story. 8 self-help books on his bedside table, all bookmarked at page 15. 3 online courses purchased in the last 6 months. Combined progress, 12%. A new notebook for each fresh start, all with the same first 3 pages filled in and the rest blank. Franklin woke up early, checked the news, watched motivational videos and read productivity threads on Reddit. He was constantly consuming information on how to improve. The problem? He never applied anything. Every Sunday night, the ritual. Monday, I really begin. New list, new planner, renewed energy. Tuesday morning, back to the same old routine. The worst part is that Franklin knew exactly what he needed to do. He knew he needed to wake up earlier. He knew he needed to write every day. He knew he needed to network. He knew, and he did nothing. Until one day, looking at his empty bank account at age 25, living in an apartment shared with 2 roommates, working a job he hated, he had the question that would change everything. Why don't I get out of here? The obvious answer was lack of money, lack of time, lack of opportunities. But deep down, Franklin knew the real answer was far more brutal. Chapter 2. The Dojo. Friday night. Franklin was browsing YouTube for the umpteenth time when he saw an ad he would normally ignore. A martial arts school 3 blocks from his house. Bushido Dojo. First month free. He almost closed his browser. Just another thing to add to his I'll do it someday list. But something about the website's design caught his eye. A simple phrase: we don't teach movements, we teach execution. Monday morning, against all his usual routines, Franklin showed up at the dojo. 6 a.m. The place smelled of old tatami mats and incense. Absolute silence, except for the sounds of people training. A man of about 60, thin, with a presence that filled the entire space, approached. Master Minato. He didn't smile, didn't offer a warm welcome. He simply looked Franklin up and down and said, "Why are you here?" Franklin gave the rehearsed answer, "I want to learn martial arts, improve my discipline, you know how it is." Master Minato interrupted. "You came here because your life isn't progressing and you don't know why. You think you lack discipline, but that's not your problem." Franklin remained silent. "How many books on discipline have you read?" Master Minato asked. "About 5, 6. How many did you finish?" "How many did?" 2, maybe 1.5. "How many things from the books you've read have you applied for more than a week?" Silence. Master Minato continued. "You don't need more knowledge. You need to stop treating knowledge like garbage. Do you know the proverb, butani shinji?" Franklin shook his head. "In ancient Japan," Master Minato began to explain, "when samurai chose apprentices, they tested something specific. Not the candidate's intelligence, not their strength, but their ability to honor what they learned. A samurai who learned a technique and did not practice it religiously was considered worse than an ignorant person, because he was showing disrespect to the pearls of wisdom. Chapter 3. The Brutal Truth. Sit down. Master Minato pointed to the tatami mat. Franklin sat down. Butani Shinji means casting pearls before swine. You take something precious, knowledge that masters took decades to refine, and throw it into the mud of your procrastination. Every course you buy and don't finish, every book you abandon in Chapter 3, every technique you learn and don't practice, you are trampling on pearls. Franklin felt the weight of the truth. He had never thought about it that way before. But here's what will hurt the most, Master Minato continued. You complain that you don't have opportunities, that you lack luck, that life is difficult. But you already have everything you need to change your life today. You just treat everything as if it were nothing. How many opportunities did you ignore this month because you weren't ready? How many ideas did you have and let die because you needed to research more first? You are not a victim of lack of opportunity. You are a victim of lack of execution. Franklin felt anger rising. You don't understand. I need to be prepared before... Ready? Master Minato raised his voice for the first time. Preparation without action is just fear using intellectual fantasy. You keep preparing because while you're preparing, there's no possibility of you failing. You're hiding behind knowledge. Heavy silence. In Bushido, the master continued more calmly, there is a principle called Makoto absolute sincerity. It's not about being honest with others. It's about being brutally honest with yourself. And the honest truth about you, Franklin, is that you're afraid. Afraid of trying and failing, so you collect knowledge as if you're going to do something with it someday. But someday never comes. Franklin looked at the floor. Everything hurt because it was true. Do you want to stay here? Master Minato asked. Try. So, I'm going to make you an offer. You'll train here for 90 days. But I'm not going to teach you any advanced techniques. No secret moves. I'm going to teach you something much more important. How to stop trampling on pearls and become a smart executor. Chapter 4. The Executor's Code. First day of real training. Franklin expected some complex kata, cinematic movements. What he got was a list on paper. The 5 principles of Bushido applied to practice. First principle, Makoto, sincerity, honor what you learn. Second principle, Rei, respect, apply before seeking more. Third principle, Chugi, loyalty, commit deeply to a practice. Fourth principle, Meiyo, honor, do what you promise. Fifth principle, Jin, benevolence, share only what you have mastered. Today, Master Minato said, you will learn one punch, a single punch, and you will practice that punch 300 times. 300 times, just one punch. Do you want to learn 50 techniques and master none, or master one and have real power? That's the difference between a collector and a doer. A collector wants variety. A doer wants mastery. Franklin started. Punch 1, punch 2. By punch 50, his shoulder burned. By punch 100, his mind begged for variety. This is boring. Let's do something else. Master Minato watched in silence. At the 200th punch, the movement began to feel natural. At the 300th punch, Franklin had forgotten to count. His body just executed. Do you feel the difference? Master Minato asked. Between knowing how to throw a punch and actually throwing a punch? You've gone from knowledge to embodiment, that's execution. But Master Minato knew that repetition alone wouldn't be enough. Franklin needed to understand why he sabotaged himself every time he started something new. And the answer lay in a concept that samurai used to separate true warriors from cowards in disguise. Chapter 5. The Always Almost Syndrome. Week 2. Franklin was excited. He had practiced every day. He woke up early, went to the dojo, and trained. Finally, he was doing something real. Then he received an email. Python course with 80% discount. Last spots available. Franklin's mind lit up. Man, Python would be perfect for me. I can automate things, create apps, change careers. He already had his credit card in hand. At the next training session, Master Minato noticed something different. You seem distracted today. What happened? Franklin talked about the Python course. It's an incredible opportunity and... Did you finish the last course you bought? Silence. Have you completely mastered what I taught you this week? More silence. You're doing exactly what pigs do with pearls, Master Minato said. You've barely begun to incorporate one piece of knowledge, and you already want another. I call that Shoshin. Poorly applied Shoshin is a beginner's mind, always open to learning. But you don't have a beginner's mind. You have a tourist's mind, always visiting, never living here. There is a principle that you need to understand. Chugi loyalty. In the samurai code, it's not just loyalty to the master or the clan, it's loyalty to the practice. When you commit to something, you don't abandon it when it gets difficult or when something more interesting comes along. Franklin defended himself. But what if I'm practicing the wrong thing? What if Python is better for me than martial arts? So you'll figure that out after you've mastered what you're doing now, not before. Do you know the difference between you and someone successful? It's not that they chose the perfect thing. It's that they chose one thing and saw it through to the end. You keep choosing, and you never get anywhere. Master Minato continued. Look at your history. You started going to the gym. You stopped in the second month to focus on meditation. You started meditating. You stopped to focus on reading. You started reading. You stopped to focus on networking. You're always focusing on something new, but focus without depth isn't focus. It's organized distraction. The truth hurt. Franklin realized he had a pattern. He always started something new when the previous one became difficult or boring. Chapter 6. The 90-Day Test. Here's what's going to happen, Master Minato declared. You're going to do a that is, folks. In Zen temples, Ango is a period of intensive seclusion. 90 days of uninterrupted practice of the same thing. No variety, no exploring other options, just absolute depth. 90 days doing the same thing? Franklin was horrified. Not the same thing. The same practice taken to levels you can't even imagine exist. You think you know how to throw a punch because you've practiced 300 times, but I've thrown the same punch 100,000 times. Do you think the difference is small? The difference is that your punch is an imitation, and mine is an extension of my body. Master Minato picked up a piece of paper. Right here, I commit to training in this dojo 6 times a week for 90 consecutive days, without exception. Sign it, take a picture, post it on your social media. Why on social media? Because while it's private, you'll be negotiating with yourself. When it's public, your brain will understand that if you break the commitment, it's a threat to your reputation, and humans would rather die than lose social status. Use that to your advantage. Franklin hesitated. 90 days was a long time. What if he got sick? What if he had to travel? Every excuse that's going through your head right now, Master Minato said, is the same excuse that made you abandon everything you started before. You want different results? Do things differently. Write it down, sign it, post it. Franklin wrote it. He signed it, he photographed it, he posted it. The comments started immediately. Dude, 90 days without fail, very ambitious. You always start like this and give up. Let's see if it lasts 2 weeks. Perfect. Every doubting comment was fuel for the fire. Chapter 7. The Executioner's 3 Enemies. Day 7. Franklin was confident. A week straight was more than he usually did. He posted an update. 7 days, let's go. Master Minato looked at the post and shook his head. You're celebrating too early. The 3 enemies haven't even appeared yet. Which 3 enemies? The first enemy is excitement. You're here now, it's week 1, everything is new, you're motivated, you have energy. But excitement isn't discipline. Excitement is brain chemistry that fades in a few days. When the dopamine drops, you'll discover who you really are. The second enemy is boredom. There will come a point where training won't be exciting. It will be mandatory, boring, repetitive. That's where 90% of people give up, because they confuse boredom with a lack of progress. But it's precisely in boredom that real transformation happens. The third enemy is the temptation of variety. Around the 5th week, you'll think, I've learned the basics here, maybe I should expand, try other martial arts, other practices. That voice will sound rational, intelligent, but it's just your brain afraid of depth. Franklin absorbed all of that. It seemed theoretical now. It didn't seem that way when the 12th arrived. Chapter 8. When Excitement Dies. Day 12. The alarm clock rang at 5:30 in the morning. Franklin hit snooze. For the first time in 2 weeks, he really didn't want to get up. His body ached, the bed was comfortable. His mind started thinking, one day won't make a difference. You deserve rest. He picked up his phone. He saw his post. He saw the comments from people doubting him. He thought about what it would be like to admit that he gave up on the 12th, feet on the ground. He staggered to the bathroom. Cold shower, workout clothes, front door. Every step was a battle. But he went. In the dojo, Master Minato said nothing. He simply watched Franklin train with half the energy of other days. At the end, he said, "Today you won, not because you trained well, because you trained when you didn't want to. Victories on easy days don't count. Only victories on difficult days build character." In Bushido, there is the concept of fun, to endure the unbearable with dignity. It's about doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. Your feelings will change 10 times a day. Your word cannot. Day 18. Boredom set in. Franklin was in the middle of training and thought, this again, the same old routine? His mind searched for any variation, any novelty to break the monotony. Master Minato understood. Want to know a secret? Masters aren't people who never get bored. They're people who keep going when they're bored. Boredom is just a test. It's asking, do you really want this? Or do you just want the thrill of starting new things? Samurai practiced the same kata 1,000 times, not because it was fun, because they knew that deep incorporation requires repetition beyond the point where it becomes interesting. It is in boredom that amateurs give up and masters are forged. Chapter 9. The Temptation of Almost Good Enough. Day 35. Franklin was doing much better, technically sound. He wasn't making any more basic mistakes. And that's exactly when the temptation arrived. Inbox. Krav Maga seminar this weekend. Real self-defense techniques. Franklin's mind lit up. That makes sense. I've already learned the basics here. Krav Maga would be complementary. I wouldn't be abandoning martial arts, just expanding. He showed it to Master Minato. You're on day 35 of 90. You haven't even reached the halfway point, and you already want to expand? The master's tone was harsher than usual. That's not a thirst for knowledge. It's a fear of commitment. But I've already learned a lot here. Did you learn it? Or did you practice long enough not to be embarrassing? There's a huge difference between Shu and Ha. You've barely completed Shu, which is basic imitation. You're still months away from reaching Ha, understanding principles. But you already want to jump to something else because your brain hates the discomfort of staying in one place long enough to become profound. Master Minato continued. When a samurai chose a master, he trained with that master until death. Not because other masters weren't good, but because depth with one master was worth more than superficiality with 10. Do you want to be good at many things or excellent at one? Because you can't be both. Every high-achieving performer you admire has chosen an obsession with variety. Do you want to be fascinating in conversation or formidable in real life? Franklin realized something. He always admired people who were truly exceptional at one thing, but he himself always tried to master several different areas and ended up being mediocre at everything. What if I'm choosing the wrong thing? Franklin asked. Then you'll find out when you've completely mastered what you're doing now, but you'll never know if something is wrong until you take it to the end. You just know you don't want to do the hard work of mastering it. Franklin didn't go to the seminary. For the first time in his life, he chose depth over novelty. Chapter 10. The Day Everything Could Have Ended. Day 52. Franklin woke up with a sore throat, fever, and his body completely aching. A bad case of the flu. He could barely get out of bed. The mind immediately thinks, "You're sick. It's justifiable to be absent today. No one will judge you." He picked up his cell phone. He saw the public announcement. 90 days without exception. It hadn't written 90 days except when you're sick. He texted Master Minato, "I'm very sick. I can't go to training today." The answer came in seconds. Can you get out of bed? With you. Can you put on clothes? With you. So you can come to the dojo. Practice isn't always perfect, but it's always present. If you can't train, you can meditate. If you can't meditate, you can observe. If you can't observe, you can be here. Remember, practice without gaps. The moment you create a gap, you're no longer practicing. You're someone who used to practice. Franklin dragged himself to the dojo. He sat to the side. He watched the others train. He didn't do any physical activity, but he kept the sequence alive. Finally, Master Minato sat beside him. Today you learned the difference between perfection and continuity. Perfection kills more dreams than laziness ever could. Continuity builds mountains, one grain of sand at a time. There's a Stanford researcher who's been studying habit formation for 30 years. He discovered that the smallest action performed consistently has more transformative power than the largest action performed sporadically. He calls it minimum viable action. Doing 1 push-up every day for a year changes your identity more than doing 100 push-ups once a month. Because identity isn't about what you do when you're motivated. It's about what you do when you're destroyed. Chapter 11. The New Franklin. Day 70. Something had fundamentally changed in Franklin. He no longer woke up thinking, should I go to practice? He simply went. The question no longer existed. He applied the principles of the dojo to other areas. He chose a side project, just one. He went deep into it. He chose a book, just one. He read it to the end. He chose a professional skill, just one. He mastered it. In 3 months, his life had completely changed. Not because he learned new things, because he finally put into practice what he already knew.